Good morning. This is Robert Goodman here on Positive Strokes, Staying Clean. I'm so happy to be back. Due to the fact that had some technical difficulties, I've been shut down for a little period of time, and which made me very upset because life was in session. But I like things to be the way they are, just like everybody else. We like things to function good and without no issues. But me being in recovery and a person come from active addiction is that when you was in your active addiction, you had to think fast on your feet and you had to keep moving forward to get the problem solved because it was a major problem. So that's what I want to talk about today. The resilience of recovering addicts. See, society puts a stigma on people that are addicts. But do you know how much dedication it takes to do what you have to do to get the drug that you need and to survive every day? Because most people are starting at zero when they wake up. They have to get themselves clean. They got to get them something to eat. They got to get their drugs, and they got to accomplish all this today. A lot of people without any money. So they have to be resourceful. They have to think fast on their feet. Now let's take that type of attitude, and if we challenging that into recovery, as people being in recovery, when you want somebody to work for you that's going to be dedicated, that's quick thinking on their feet, something to think about. Well, my story, I worked for a recycling company, and I started at the bottom, working on the line, and I was good at it. I enjoyed it. I worked because, see, my focus was that it wasn't that it was a dirty job. I didn't think like that. I thought like this: I'm doing what I have to so I can do what I want. I'm doing what I have to so I can do what I want. This company is paying me money so I can take care of myself and live my life the way I choose. So I don't look at the job, at the tasks that I have to do, or how nasty it is, or how dirty I may get. I'm concerned about getting that full paycheck. I'm concerned about making sure that I can get overtime when I can, to suck up all the overtime I can. And that overtime will give me the things that I can spend that money on, the things that I need, that I was unable to get. Because the money that I was receiving, my regular check, was paying bills and making sure that I functioned the week so I can work and pay my bills. There was an incident on the job, and this gentleman, he was the supervisor. He thought that belittling people, talking down to them, always putting the fear of them trying to lose their job in their face, would give him the power so he can do what he wants and they will do what he wants. So when he approached me with this type of attitude, I wouldn't accept that. But then when he disrespected me, called my mother every name that you can think of, but the child of God. And here's the thing, that's a sensitive thing for me. Because my mother died cancer. And I didn't know until she was 3 months in the ground. So I am very highly upset with myself not being there to hold her hand to see her before she left. And he's going to talk dirt about her. I went into rage. And the next thing I knew, he was getting transported to the hospital. So the plant manager pulled me into his office. I explained what happened. He called a meeting. He says no one has the right to disrespect anyone on his place of business. That normally, if you're fighting, you get fired. No questions asked. But I'm gonna make this a statement so it doesn't happen again. I'm not gonna fire Mr. Goodman. I want you to understand that when you disrespect people and their families at the workplace, you're not going to be safe. Because if they hurt you, then you deal with the law enforcement and deal with the circumstances yourself. There were no more arguments on the job because people knew that if they got into an altercation and they didn't win, it was in a world of trouble. So I stayed there working and I moved up the ladder very fast because I learned every facet of that job. I learned how the company works. I understood their their business approach. I understood their methods. I understood because see, I looked at it like this, and a lot of people don't. This is their business. They want to run it a certain way, and whatever way they want to run it, that's the way it should be run. But if I disagree that it's going to cost them more or it's going to cost them a problem, then I let them know I disagree with your point of view. I think this may happen, but it's your business. I'll do what you want me to do. And that attitude got me to be assistant plant manager. I guess I was there for like 9 months, assistant plant manager. Just 9 months. I learned that my best workers were those that came from homelessness, addiction, like me. They was my best workers. They were made it to uh, employee of the month. The society puts a stigma on them like it's a social thing. It's not as a disease. But the things that a person learns in addiction to survive, we need to learn. A lot of people need to learn how to survive and allow the government and all these programs and issues and moves in the way that you can make to help yourself through living your life on life's terms. Living your life on life's terms means that you have to accept the way things are so you can get all the benefits that's out there for you, how you can maneuver to make sure things get done. By being in a stressful mode all the time in my addiction, I learned something that a lot of things that happen doesn't stress me or get me upset. It just makes me more aware of the situation. But those that never been through that type of situation, they panic, they worry, they stress themselves. Where a person dealt with addiction, dealt with getting that drug every day, had to think quick on their feet, and they got it done. When you want somebody to work for you, that look at the problems and get it done without no hesitation, not letting his feelings and emotions dictate his decisions. See, that's another thing that happens in business a lot. That people in power, supervisors, you have supervisors like these employees or this place that, and that's just the way it is. But in reality, if a person is handling their business and working well on their job, that's the one that should excel. That's the one that should get the praise. Not because just I know you. Because here's the interesting thing. A lot of people that are catered to these positions end up making a lot of mistakes that cost money. But those that dedicate themselves to that company and to the vision that that company has, those are the ones that stick, stand tall, and survive at the workplace. So the point I'm trying to make today is that people that are in recovery are one of the best people that you can hire because they work them through they work themselves through active addiction. They came into recovery and worked hard. They faced their fears. They still standing tall. They still taking care of themselves. They've overcome obstacles, major obstacles to get where they're at. So they can solve problems quickly. They can find solutions quickly. Why? Because the mind is working 24/7. Because when you're an addictive person and homeless, you have to survive. You have to make sure that you can clean yourself up, eat, get your drugs that you need, and find a safe place to sleep. And every day, the same routine. Because in that lifestyle, one routine doesn't work every day. You have to think quick on your feet. In business, being in a supervisor position, you have to think on your feet. One side you have management, the other side you have the employees, the employees, and you're in the middle. Being a supervisor, you're in the middle. You take the most flack. You take the flack from the employees, you take the flack from your bosses. And if it don't get done, they look at you. You the scapegoat, the supervisor. But the supervisor makes a good salary because he's the one that gets persecuted on a regular basis. Always force him to make him make the workers work more, produce more at the same amount of pay in the allotted amount of time instead of on overtime. I hope that the information that I shared, that having a recovering addict at your workplace is a blessing. A recovering addict, one that is dedicated to stay clean and sober, one day at a time. How do you recognize that person? He comes to work with a smile on his face. He's happy that he has a job. He's happy that he gets paid every week. He remembers the struggle every day in his addiction. And whereas today he gets up, he eats breakfast, drinks him his coffee, and he's ready to work. No issues, no complaints. And he says, that's a great blessing. When you want somebody to work for you like that, you can. Don't treat recovering addicts with a stigma because you'll be missing out. This is Robert Goodman on Positive Strokes, Staying Clean. I hope that you focus on allowing the recovery family to come and work at your workplace. And to go back to what I said, I had difficulties the last couple of days rearranging things and getting things done. Me and my lovely wife, we've been working like we was 18 years old to get some things done, which needed our immediate attention. And we're getting it done. So bear with us until we get everything situated. Uh, we're back. I'll be back here tomorrow. And for the next 2 weeks, I'm going to do 14 straight days about recovery. I just wanted to share the point that today is that recovering addicts, they're good people. Just because they have a past doesn't mean they're not good people. Everybody has a past. Don't you got something you want to hide that you got in your closet that you don't want nobody to know? If you do, then have compassion for someone else. Everybody has dirt. Everybody is hiding something that they done did that they don't want nobody to know. There's not a person on this earth that hasn't or felt that way. This is Robert Goodman here on Positive Stroke. You have a great day, and I will see you tomorrow. Remember, together we can, by ourselves we cannot. It takes a village to stay clean and sober. We cannot stay clean and sober by ourselves. We need each other in the rooms and in our hearts of recovery.